What's going on there, Reject Nation? Greg and John here today. We are going to watch the Eternals official teaser trailer breakdown, Avengers reference explained. Going to watch this from the channel The Cosmic Wonder from our good friend Warren. Really wanted to cover his specifically because when I first started learning about the Eternals, it was actually from his channel. He's had some great breakdowns about their characters for such a long time now that I was like, once this trailer's out, we got to cover his. And he actually hit me up this morning telling me how emotional he got watching the trailer and how he was so excited and so happy to do this breakdown in particular. And I was like, well, I was already planning on covering yours because he was the main person I learned about the Eternals from. Also, in regards to our reaction, sorry about having to mute some parts of the trailer post uploading it. In fact, in the editor, when I was cutting together the video really quick, the volume at the parts that are copyright claimed, I had it 0 or 1% with a filter on it. So I was like, okay, we'll probably be fine this time around. But the same companies that claimed us for Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, we did not mute it there. We let all the ad revenue go to them. We decided that we can't do this almost 2 weeks in a row. We're gonna have to mute it there. I know it's pissed a good amount of people off. I feel like most are actually understanding. Thank you to those who are understanding about why we had to resort to doing that this time around. Anywho, I'm excited to see my buddy's breakdown. Let's do it.
What's going on, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to The Cosmic Wonder, and this morning we just got the official teaser trailer for the Eternals. This is a lot more than the sneak peek trailer that we got not too long ago. This
a lot more than 14
full
seconds,
trailer.
yes. Yes, it is.
7 seconds long. It was amazing.
That is 1 minute
Visually,
and
this movie
48
is going to be
seconds.
absolutely insane, and there is a lot in this teaser trailer to break down.
Sure.
So let's get started, but first, reminder, only 7 days left in my Stormbreaker giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel and Cosmic Culture to enter. This first scene that we open up on is of an ancient village. These people look like they might have just invented the wheel. Their civilization isn't that far along, and that kind of shows when the Eternals show up, because remember, the Eternals are essentially immortal. They've been alive for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The Eternals were actually created by the celestial gods. In the Marvel comics, the Celestials actually experimented on the early humans. So the first humans that were made, the Celestials took some of them, experimented on them, and created the Eternals. From there on out, they tasked the Eternals with guarding and protecting Earth and the people of Earth. And this scene is apparently when the Eternals first get to Earth, as we can see their ship here, and we can see the people absolutely
The Eternals are
shocked
here.
to see a huge ship that is invisible come right in front of them. The first Eternals that we see on the ship are Ikaris and Sersi. Ikaris is looking at the window, kind of marveling at Earth, pun intended, and Sersi comes up and says, "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Further implying that this probably is the first time that the Eternals are arriving on Earth. Fun fact, Sersi is played by Gemma Chan. Gemma Chan was also in the movie Captain Marvel. She played the role of Minerva. Marvel thought that she was so great that she got the main role of Sersi for the Eternals. Now from here we see a few other Eternals and get a glimpse inside their ship. We see Salma Hayek's character Ajak walking down the hall, and she is the leader of the Eternals. It looks like she walks into a room, and in that room we get our first look at Angelina Jolie's Thena, and she looks absolutely insane. Thena is the warrior, the fighter of the group, which is very suiting for Angelina Jolie. Now, in this room that the Eternals are in, we can see several different things. We get a close-up of Salma Hayek's character and her outfit, and behind her, it looks like there could be some plants in the background. Perhaps these plants they actually put on Earth to help the humans kind of start growing trees and vegetation. Although they do kind of look alien-like, so perhaps they could be something from wherever the Celestials created them.
Well, her character is like a spiritual healer, and they are in the same room with Phastos, who is the inventor. Perhaps there is something there about creation of life that is being imbued here. Like this room is dedicated to kind of doing all that sort of scientific maneuvering around. That's just kind of the vibe that I picked up on, especially you're talking about plant life, the earth, and then of course you got Phastos here. It just sort of makes sense that that room is dedicated to helping to grow life.
We then see two new characters, Brian Tyree Henry's Phastos and Leah McHugh's Sprite. Now in this scene we see Phastos kind of manipulating something. Phastos is the Eternals' master technologist, and although we don't really know what this is, it probably is some type of a tool or technology that he's using for something that I'm sure we'll figure out within the first 2 minutes of the movie.
He's building his machine to do podcasts to talk about the kaiju in recent years that have been invading the city and to expose Apex for what they're doing. You gotta keep up, Warren. You gotta keep up.
Also sitting behind him is Sprite. Sprite is kind of the playful trickster of the group and can cast illusions. And Sprite is actually an adult but stuck in the body of a child. And although the MCU doesn't ever completely just do what the comics did, we can assume that all of the Eternals were indeed made at the same time. Then we cut to the Marvel Studios logo, and the first thing that we see is Sersi with the humans on Earth farming. She's helping them. And then we hear the voice of Salma Hayek's Ajak saying, "We have watched and guided. We have helped them progress." And as she says this, we can actually see one of the Eternals' hands create water on the ground. From here, vegetation grows. So again, the Eternals were created to protect and guide the humans, and it looks like that's exactly what they're doing from the very beginning. And we can kind of see the humans progress as Salma Hayek is talking. Now, the Eternals basically helped the very first civilization evolve. And we see that. They go from a civilization that is kind of just sitting on the rocks, pitching tents, to a civilization that has its very own city with a large wall around it, and this is pretty much Mesopotamia. Or since they said they've helped them accomplish wonders, it could be one of the wonders of the world. I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel kind of worked that in there. It would be pretty clever.
Isn't that the Ishtar?
The gate of Ishtar.
Yeah, I believe that's what it is.
So.
Exactly. Isn't it open now to the public?
Dude, you can go see ancient Babylon. Yeah, it'd be cool. It's one of the wonders of the world.
And as you can see in this one scene, all of the humans seem to be kneeling to them like they're gods. So there's going to be a lot of mythology from real life put into this movie, and it looks like they're going to make it to where some of the old ancient Egyptian gods and hieroglyphics that we've seen are actually the Eternals in the MCU, since they are the ones that came from space in a huge giant ship and then helped them. Now, in one scene, we see one Eternal handing a very
I like how they feel like aliens and gods.
To somebody else. This is most likely Ajak, and I don't think she's giving the knife to another person. I think she is showing a human the knife. I think she's kind of showing them who they are. And I'm sure this knife is going to have a pretty significant purpose, and there was a leak that talked about there was a tool that Ajak has that helps her communicate with the Celestials. This could be it, but right now we're not that certain. We also get a
Why would
scene
she give
where
it
Thena
away?
is seemingly training warriors.
Why would it be a
Remember,
knife?
she's the warrior and the fighter of the group. Now, if you take a look at her spear that she is fighting with, it looks like it's actually made out of some type of energy. It's transparent.
Energy.
It doesn't look like it's made out of something like solid gold, but one of the powers of the majority of the Eternals is energy manipulation. This is much like we saw Phastos doing in the very beginning of the teaser trailer. Thena also wears some sort of a crown on her head that has a symbol on it that I'm sure will be revealed to us during the movie. And if you look at her face, she doesn't seem to be that happy. She actually seems to be rather sad or concerned. And Thena is apparently going to have a pretty big secret in this movie, according to recent rumors. Most likely the fact that she actually has a child in the comics, actually twins. However, she gives the children away to an actual human, and she keeps them a secret.
Uh-oh. Wiccan and Speed are lost again.
They're not allowed to have kids? I think in the comics they can have kids. I heard something in the movie that there might be some type of rule established in the film that they might... Actually, I think I heard it from Warren like, ages ago. They might not be able to... the rules in their world is the Eternals cannot have kids, so that might add more stakes or weight to the idea that she has a kid. She's the mother of Thanos.
Oh no, please no.
She's like, oh my god, get
we
that.
gotta get this purple thing out of
What
here.
the hell is that?
Put it up for an option, put
Get
it in
rid
the
of
basket,
it.
send it down the street.
Yeah. I mean, look at me, and then look at that.
Who's the dad?
This could be her big secret here, and this could be what she's upset about. She could be pregnant, or she could have already given up the kids.
Or she just ruined good sheets.
She just doesn't want to battle.
And here we get a few more scenes. One is of Lauren Ridloff's character, Makkari. She
Look at
is
all the
reading,
history.
and she is reading very, very fast because that is one of her specific abilities. She is very, very fast. She'd give the Flash a run for his money. And as you can see, she is actually on the ship. This is actually from the same scene we got in the very beginning. And it looks like she has collected just a bunch of stuff from humanity over time, from different civilizations. So it kind of looks like she's living on the ship. We have everything from ancient statues of the Egyptian periods to new lamps that actually have light bulbs in them.
There's Captain America's shield right there.
It's an Oculus.
Thousands of years. And it looks like for Makkari at least, her goal is to learn as much as she can, even though she was a part of it all. Perhaps she could be searching for something, and she has to search through the history of the people to find out.
Well, actually, yeah, her character Scout is someone who's basically gathering knowledge all about humans and Earth and just collecting it. So that's what you see in that room there. What I learned recently is like, yes, the actress that they hired to play her is indeed deaf. This character will be deaf and mute, but they're adding the fact that she is deaf to work more into the story because the sonic booms that her super speed creates will not be affecting her because of the fact that she actually is deaf, which I think is a pretty cool detail to add in.
Clever.
Now, as Salma Hayek says, we have never interfered. We see Sersi walking through what I'm going to call Mesopotamia, and then we see her in modern times,
Babylon.
living amongst the people in normal clothes. Now, this is what Sersi does. This is who she is. She actually loves people. She loves humanity, and she prefers to live with the people instead of the Eternals. Now, Salma Hayek says we've never interfered, even though they basically built an established civilization and everything is pretty much a result of them helping, but we see humanity start to kind of go at war with each other. And this is where the Eternals don't interfere. It looks like they kind of started them off and then let them go. So we kind of start to see wars here, villages being ransacked.
Not my problem.
Basically just sit back and watch.
We gave you guys everything you need.
Ajak say, until now. And there are a few very important scenes that we have to talk about. The first one is of Gilgamesh and another Eternal holding hands. Now, the Eternals holding hands is nice, but that's not what we're looking at here. We're actually looking at what is happening in the background. In the background, it looks like we actually see some sort
body?
of a figure. This looks like it could be a hologram or a projection of one of the Celestials. After all, we do know that the Eternals do have to communicate with the Celestials sometimes. However, in another scene in the village where some of the Eternals seemingly live, we can see one of the Eternals fighting something. It looks like it's some type of a horse because it has 4 legs, but it looks like it's definitely not anything of Earth. Now, it could be a deviant.
I think it's a deviant.
Deviants are essentially relatives of the Eternals. When the Celestials created the Eternals, they also created what is known as the deviants. The Eternals are basically a perfected experiment, and the deviants are kind of where it went wrong. And in the comics, they're basically at war with each other from the very beginning. Thanos is actually a deviant himself. Thanos was born of 2 eternal parents, however he inherited the deviant gene, which is why he looks all purple and weird. And who knows, perhaps Thanos is actually the son of Thena? That would be a pretty cool twist for them to throw in there. And perhaps that's why the Eternals are finally getting involved.
They look like the one character from Splice.
Yeah. Dren, my favorite.
Well, I think that is a deviant because it looks akin to a Lego leak that I saw a while ago.
And those are some of the most reliable leaks around.
And they first released one of the Celestials, and yeah, it looks kind of, the way it's just crawling around, it seems more deviant-like, and this village looks more Druig.
Oh, absolutely.
Mind control.
You can see it in that earlier shot of him walking out of the doors of the barn or whatever. It's the same location.
And perhaps that's why the Eternals are finally getting involved. Thanos is threatening to kill not only half the people on Earth, but half the people in the universe. It could be that, or it could be other deviant threats as well. Now, something else to note about this scene is that somebody is apparently mind controlling some of the villagers. We can see all of them pull guns out at the same time, and we can see all of their eyes are glowing. So somebody is definitely controlling them. The question is who?
Kingo.
It could be one of the Eternals. We don't know all of their powers since the MCU will most likely change what their powers are, or it could be the villain.
It's the mind
now, another
control guy.
awesome scene that we see is with Sersi, Druig, and Makkari. They are all levitating off of the ground, and there's energy going into them and in between them. Now, what they're most likely doing here is forming the Unimind. The Unimind is created when several Eternals come together and join their will and intelligence. They come together and create one giant being created of light, mind, and pure energy. This is going to be absolutely crazy to see on scene, and it looks like they're probably doing this right before they have to fight the big bad villain at the end of the movie.
I don't think that is the end of the movie. I think that's very early on in the movie.
Seems like a very early moment. It seems like when they're reuniting on Earth for the first time or something like that.
Or maybe even when you're seeing Mesopotamia time, as you call it. That's more of what location matches up to me there. Because I think Druig's the bad guy.
I mean, that certainly seems to be what this trailer is helping to suggest anyway. I mean, of all the team, he's the only guy who gets like a pretty sinister close-up and reverse shot.
And then we get a few scenes of Ikaris and Sersi. They definitely have some romance going on here. Looks like they start out as a couple, and then they end up eventually getting married. As we can see here, it definitely looks like a wedding ceremony. And it looks like they're together for a pretty long time. However, it does look like we're going to have a love triangle here, because we know that Sersi is also going to be involved with Dane Whitman, aka the Black Knight, played by Kit Harington. And we actually do have a scene here with Sersi and Kit Harington. It definitely looks like more modern times, so maybe her and Ikaris end up breaking up, or who knows. Then we get a pretty awesome scene of Kumail Nanjiani's character, who is a Bollywood star. He is living among the humans and sort of hiding in plain sight, and he's clearly made a pretty good life for himself. Kumail Nanjiani actually talked about a huge Bollywood dance scene that they did, and it looks like they show us some of that in this trailer. And then of course we get the awesome scene on the cliffside where we see all of the Eternals fully dressed in their Eternals outfits. From the left to the right, we have Kumail Nanjiani's character Kingo, Lauren Ridloff's character Makkari, Dong-seok's character Gilgamesh, Angelina Jolie as Thena, Richard Madden as Ikaris, Salma Hayek as Ajak, Gemma as Sersi, McHugh as Sprite, Brian Tyree Henry as Phastos, and Barry Keoghan as Druig. And those are the Eternals. Now, we have one more scene left that kind of answers a question to an extent that a lot of people have been having, which is, where exactly were the Eternals during the events of Thanos? We have what looks like most of the Eternals sitting down at a table with a very nice spread that looks like it was provided by Gilgamesh. Ikaris looks up at Gilgamesh and says, "Thank you for this," and he says, "You're welcome." And then Sprite poses a question to the Eternals. And that question is, so now that Captain Rogers and Iron Man are both gone, who do you think's going to lead the Avengers? So they definitely know who the Avengers are. So it does seem like they were monitoring everything, but why didn't they interfere? Was there some other threat that they had to deal with at this point in time? We are definitely going to get the answer to that in this movie. However, it does look like some of the Eternals, if not probably most of it, takes place after the snap. The reason being is because in this scene, Kingo, who is the famous Bollywood star, has a character with him who is not an Eternal. We saw this character in the teaser trailer holding a camera, so it's either his cameraman and or assistant. This means that this scene at the end, where Sprite asks about the Avengers, takes place before the Eternals are kind of coming back together and reforming their group to take on whatever threat is threatening them. So their major threat, the one that Ajak was saying we've never interfered until now, is happening after Captain America and Iron Man are gone, which means it's happening after the snap. And then of course the final scene is
that makes
a lot of
it lines sense. It lines up.
Kind of rolls her eyes and everybody starts to laugh. And that's the Eternals trailer. And Marvel is really treating us with their teaser trailers. Their teasers are pretty long, over 2 minutes. And they packed so much into this teaser trailer. It was awesome, but let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below.
Okay.
Let me know if you have any questions about it as well.
You know?
like that natural lighting.
I wanted more punchy punch and kickity kick and boom, sky, look at the sky. No, I liked it. I loved it. That was brilliant. Greg likes everything. Greg has the same face in every thumbnail.
I want something different from Marvel's usual trailers, but that's also the same as Marvel's usual trailers.
I guess the big question is, who's the big baddie? Ultimately, that's like the #1 question.
That's the #1.
We have no idea who the villain is. I mean, we have ideas. It's like, some are saying the Celestials are the baddies. Some are saying it's the Deviants.
Some are saying it's Ikaris.
I think it's a fascinating idea to explore. At the same time, you gotta kind of explain to audiences who the Eternals are. Like, we've had to really do our best to understand who they were for a while. And then, you go to the comments, people are like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who these people are. And so before you can even start being like, here's your baddie, I guess you gotta start explaining who your Eternals
You gotta really introduce and endear us to your main ensemble before you either have one of them betray us or introduce, their big bad outside adversary.
I'm excited for the movie.
Yeah.
It looks great. It looks different. It looks great. Chloe Zhao. I hear she's an alright director, so we'll see how it goes, guys. We'll see how it goes. What'd you think of the Eternals trailer? Thank you, Warren, for doing this. I love your enthusiasm and energy that you bring to the table here. You sound more energetic here than you did when doing your reaction to the trailer, where it looked like you had not slept much. I've never experienced that while being on camera to do early morning reactions. Welcome to the club. Subscribe, click that bell, hit that like button. Last but not least, got a shout out a man named Robert Gunderson. Now, Robert, listen up, buddy. You're gonna get a classic shout out today. R stands for ravioli, because I could eat you up.
O stands for omnibus because you are just you just know all things.
Yeah, B stands for bitchin' because you keep bitching at me in the comments.
E stands for eternal, like my love for you.
R stands for reticent because you are reluctant. Actually, just went with that to be here today.
And T stands for tingles, because you give me the tingles whenever I think of you.
And people say John's got the big words.